Hey, and welcome back to the Art of a Life Well Lived. I'm Christine Regan Lake, and it's good to be back here with you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, today I want to talk to you about everything that you need to know about the discard phase of a narcissistic relationship. And if you haven't liked, subscribed, or shared my videos or anything like that, I would so appreciate it if you would. If you find value, if you think it's something valuable, if you wanted to like it or share the video or subscribe, that would help me grow my channel, which I super appreciate, so I can help get my message out to those who want and need to hear it. Okay, so let's get right into it. The discard phase of a narcissistic relationship. If anyone has ever been in a relationship with a narcissist and they've been discarded, all of a sudden you may find that you, out of the blue, blindsided, you just kind of wake up one day and they come to you and they're like, yeah, it's over, we're ending it. They don't give you any kind of explanation, things like that. You know, it can be quite devastating because you never saw it coming and you're not really given any explanation as to why, what happened that imploded the relationship and things like that. So it can be very, very confusing, and it can trigger a lot of feelings of abandonment for anyone who had any kind of abandonment wounds in their childhood. The discard phase can be extremely triggering, and you can kind of feel like your entire, world has dropped out from underneath you, like the floor beneath your feet has just been wiped away and you're just kind of falling and cascading, and you're like, what happened? I don't understand. And especially depending upon the length of the relationship that you were in with that individual, things like that, it can be quite devastating and quite fear-inducing, especially like if this is a marriage and all of a sudden you're like, okay, so what does this mean now? We're going to be divorced. Where am I going to live? My finances, things like that. It can be completely overwhelming. So let's explore a little bit about what you need to understand about the discard phase. So the discard phase is just one cycle of a typical narcissistic relationship. So for anyone who may be new to this subject, essentially what happens is the first phase of a relationship in a narcissistic relationship is the love bombing. That is that when you first get together, you are going to be bombarded with love and affection and attention, and you will be made to feel that no one has ever loved you the way this person has loved you, that you feel so special, like you're the luckiest girl or luckiest guy in the world because you are completely love bombed. And it'll be dramatic, it will be swift. Narcissistic relationships tend to be instant relationships where all of a sudden you meet them and next thing you know, you're immediately in a relationship. It's not like the slow build friendship transition into a long-term partnership. They are very, very quick. And the reason that those relationships are very, very quick is because a narcissist has to get their anchor into you very, very quickly. They have to get their anchor in and get you roped in and attached to them immediately, because they're only going to be able to kind of hold together the projection of this person who they are projecting themselves to be. And narcissists are completely adept at mirroring the traits that you have. They look at you, they figure out who you are, and then they will mirror back to you the traits that they see because they know that's what you want. So narcissistic relationships, the love bombing, it is swift, it is powerful, and it is intoxicating. So that's the first phase of the love bombing. Then what happens is once the narcissist knows that they have you, the next phase is they go into devaluation. So now they've got you hooked, they've got you addicted to you, and now they start devaluing you. And it'll be very gentle, very soft in the beginning, just a small little tiny jab there, small little insult here, things like that, to make you start feeling insecure. Maybe they'll say something like, oh, I keep getting these emails from Match.com, if you met each other on Match.com, just to plant the seed in you that I'm still looking. You might not be the one for me. You might just be a temporary thing. Or maybe they make a passing comment on, have you gained weight? I'm not sure what happened to your hair. I don't really like that outfit. Things like that. Whatever it is, little digs that are going to slowly start eroding at your self-worth and self-esteem. The discard phase is what follows the devaluation. Now, just so you know, if you don't know, the love bombing, and then the devaluation, what will happen, first it's love bombing, then they move into devaluation, then there will be a period where it's both. They do positive love bombing type thing, then a negative insult, love bomb, negative insult, love bomb, negative insult, and they'll go back and forth between positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. That process of going back and forth between the positive and negative gets you chemically addicted to them. You become addicted, and it creates a trauma bond. And this has been likened to the syndrome when you are Stockholm syndrome, if you're a hostage, and the terrorists or whoever, they're good to you, then they're bad to you, whatever. It creates this trauma bond that bonds you to that person. So what happens is, when the reason that a narcissist will essentially move into the discard phase is because really kind of one of two reasons. The first reason is that you may have now reached a point in the relationship where any like rose-colored glasses that you had or fairy tale images in your head about this person and what this relationship was has really kind of fallen away at this point. And now you really just see the raw, real, good, bad, the ugly, everything like that. And so you no longer have this fairy tale image. And so now you may have started saying things, right? You may have started sticking up for yourself. Like if they make a dig, now you're starting to defend yourself, or maybe they're trying to violate your boundaries in some way, and you're like, no, that really doesn't work for me, or whatever. And so now what they're finding is you're not as easy to manipulate. And so now it's harder for them to get what they need from you, right? Because they want to use you. They're going to use you for emotional energy. They're going to use you for sexual satisfaction. They might use you for money, things like that, right? So if they can't get what they readily want from you, which could be just your energy and your attention, love, affection, things like that, now they start saying, well, this really isn't worth my time anymore. So now I'm going to need to go find someone else to be my new narcissistic supply. And if you're not familiar with the narcissistic supply means, that term basically talks about narcissistic supply is the energy and focus that you give to someone. And a narcissist, because they cannot fill their own cup, they constantly need third parties to like just fawn over them, giving them attention, positive or negative. If you're not fawning over them with love and attention and affection and things like that, then they'll take a fight. As long as it's energy, they feed off of energy, positive or negative. So you may find that they pick fights and things like that. So the first reason is that basically the deal is up. You now know that there's something up, and you're starting to call them on their behavior, things like that. And now it's becoming more difficult for them to manipulate you the way they used to manipulate you. And so now they're going to discard you. So the other reason that they could discard you is because they simply got bored, right? So a lot of narcissists are in love with being in love. They love that love bombing phase. They love that beginning phase, the honeymoon phase, this fairy tale time where everything's perfect and they can live in this little bubble, and they can, you think they're perfect and things like that. So they're addicted to that, like the being in love phase. And they really don't like dealing with when relationships mature and they move beyond that, and maybe it's a calmer connection that you have, and you build intimacy and things like that, but they don't want that. They want that adrenaline rush of the new honeymoon phase, things like that. So they could potentially just get bored with you. And so that's why they're going to discard you and throw you away. So what are some of the things that you can expect in the discard phase? Well, one of the things that they could do, like one, it would either come as a full out, like just blindsided, you never saw anything coming, everything seemed fine, and then all of a sudden they wake up one day and they just tell you it's over. Or they could pick a fight. You could be just kind of doing your thing and you're hanging out one day, and next thing you know, they pick a fight, and then they specifically blow it up to like exorbitant levels, and then they just say, well, then it's over, right? So they pick a fight. Another way that they will bring the relationship to an end, one of the ways that you will know that it's coming to an end, is that their behavior is going to start shifting. Whereas they might have been jealous before, now they're not going to be jealous. Now they could care less. where they used to like be concerned, like checking your phone and things like that, or if someone gave you a compliment, a man, the waiter or something like that, they'd be like jealous or whatever. Now they're not jealous anymore. Now they don't care, because you know what? In their mind, you've lost your value anymore. The luster has come off, and now they're just kind of like bored and they don't care. So they're going to start pulling back. They'll start spending less time with you. They start, just kind of distancing themselves from you. They're not going to be jealous anymore. The next thing they're going to do is they may start a smear campaign. So the smear campaign is really important. And the reason this is important is because the narcissist is preparing his friends and family for like when the relationship is over, so that he can, or she can, create this huge story that basically makes all of it your fault. Like, the reason the relationship imploded was because she was this, that, and whatever, and he was blah blah blah. So they will do a smear campaign saying there was something terrible about you, that you did this, you were manipulative, you cheated, you lied, you stole money from, like, whatever it is, whatever. And these stories can go any which way from Sunday, right? They'll just make this stuff up. Narcissists can be compulsive liars. They can lie on a dime. They'll come up with something and it just flows right out of their mouth like normal, like, just like anybody else might have a normal conversation. So they will spew lies about you to destroy your name to your friends and family. It's very important for them to do that, because narcissists are very much victim mentality mode. It's very important for them to be able to have the ability to cast blame on someone and say, this was all their fault. I'm just this innocent victim. I was in the relationship. I was so committed. I was this, that, and whatever. And they took advantage of me. They did this, that, and whatever. And so it enables them to take zero responsibility for any part of the relationship, blame it all on you, and then to position that they want all of the friends and family to be on their side. So if all of a sudden now they've decided to hate you, not only do they hate you, they want all of their friends and family to hate you as well, so that you're completely ostracized and you're belittled and humiliated and shamed. That's what they're hoping for. And so it's really important for you to understand that you have no control over whether this narcissist is going to smear your name and what they're going to say about you. All you can do is walk your own path, and you just want to make sure that you don't fall into the same trap. All of a sudden now you don't just start bashing that person, because ultimately that's not going to reflect well on you. You're two adults. You are in a relationship with someone. Your relationship is between you and that person, and it's none of anybody else's business. And if someone wants to smear your name, you have no control of that whatsoever. All you can do is walk your path, hold your head up high with self-respect, and not fall into those games of getting into verbal battles or confrontation, or trying to explain yourself to any of their friends and family. You don't even justify that ridiculous behavior with a comment. You don't engage it. And the reality is that your friends and family, or his friends, and who cares, right? Like, who you are, you're a good person, that whatever these things that are being said about you are lies, are not the truth. And the people that really know you will know that these are lies, and they're not going to listen to that person. And all that is going to do is make that person look like an idiot, make him or her make them look like a immature, self-absorbed idiot that you go around bashing people. Relationships fall apart. They don't work, whatever reason. You come together, you spend some time together, you're in a relationship, and it ends for whatever reason. You don't need to try to bash someone and destroy their character. So if they're doing that to you, just know, hold your head up high. Don't participate in those games. Do not defend yourself. Do not try to tell your side of the story. You don't give it 1 ounce of your energy. You don't give it a second of your energy. You don't explain anything to anybody. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody. It's none of their business. And if they want to believe those things about you, let them go. Just let that person move out of your circle. The other thing you want to do is, in terms of the discard phase, is you just want to make sure that you don't chase them, right? If someone doesn't want to be in a relationship with you, let them go. Don't chase them. I've heard women and men where they talk about where they try to like go and plead. And I've never understood that concept where someone would go and try to like convince someone to be with them. If someone doesn't just organically want to be with you, why would you want them? You'd want them there because you're going to guilt them to stay. I mean, that's sad and gross. You know what I mean? Like you only want people in your life who want to be there. And if for whatever reason someone decides like this isn't for them, let them go so that you can have the right person enter your life. But the most important thing in that discard phase is that you want to retain your self-respect. Never stoop to their level. Don't go around bad-mouthing that person to friends and family. If you have a confidant or two, like a best friend that you're just kind of sharing the heartbreak of it, that's one thing. But to go around and bash people's name. I know someone who is going through a divorce right now, and his wife is like calling their friends and family to specifically talk about, informing them of the divorce and, trying to badmouth her soon-to-be ex-husband. And it's just, I don't think that wife knows any idea of how ridiculous she looks and how in poor taste it is, and she's embarrassing herself. So you want to hold yourself up high. You want to keep your self-respect, and you're not going to drop down to their level and do any of the things that they're going to do. You're going to rise higher. You're going to walk the path of emotional maturity, and the best way to move forward is to, if you have to have communication with them for any reason, if you have children and things like that, you immediately adopt the gray rock technique, which is to basically, if they try to instigate any kind of fights with you or whatever, you literally turn into instantaneously a cold gray rock. There is zero reaction from you. You are not going to feed them energetically supply that's going to, give them the energy boost that they're looking for, where they're, and every time you have to understand that when a narcissist baits you and you explode and you get angry, they've won. They've won. So it's important for you to understand how to embody the gray rock technique, which is to have zero emotional reaction whatsoever. You are a cold gray stone rock. The next thing you need to do is, if you don't have children and you don't have to stay connected with them, it's not somebody at work or, things like that, just go no contact. Delete their phone number, block their number, block them on social media, and just move forward. I think part of it's kind of dysfunctional. I think this whole internet and social media stuff has enabled a ton of people to retain relationships with exes, and people are, someone hits a bump road, a bumpy part of the road in their marriage or their relationship, and next thing you know, they're texting like 3 different ex-girlfriends or 3 different ex-boyfriends. I think it's toxic, and I don't think it's healthy. If a relationship ends, end it. Delete the phone number, cut communication, delete them from Facebook, and just move on. You know what I mean? So I just personally think that that's the healthier way to go, but whatever. So another thing to think about is that some people talk about that when you're in the discard phase is really just an illusion. So what do they mean by that? So what they mean by the illusion is that you're being discarded, but many times it's just temporarily. It's a manipulative move because they're going to come back and they're going to hoover you. Now, the hoover the hoover stands for the Hoover vacuum cleaner, right? They're going to come back and they're going to suck you back up like a vacuum cleaner, right? They're going to suck you right back up into their web of emotional manipulation, and they're going to come back. And when they come back for the hoovering, they're going to revert back to the love bombing phase. Now, all of a sudden, they're going to be just overflowing with beautiful things about the past and all your memories and what a beautiful person you were, and they didn't realize how important you were to them, and all these other things. And the whole cycle will start back over again. They'll love bomb. If you re-engage and get reconnected to them, you'll go back through the love bombing, devalue, discard. So it's just important to understand the different phases of the narcissistic relationship, because it's important to understand how this manipulative behavior works, right? Because the more informed you are about how this stuff works, what you can expect, you can be more objective about it, and you can see it, and you can make a conscious decision to say, you know what? this isn't a circus I want to get involved in again. I got out of here the first time, so I am staying out of this circus. It's not my circus anymore, as the saying goes. So those are some of the thoughts that I wanted to share with you about the narcissistic discard. The more you understand how a narcissist works and what their methodology is and what their tactics are and what the life cycle is to a narcissistic relationship, the more equipped you are, if you engage down in the future with someone new, to be like, I'm seeing some of those narcissistic flags. Maybe this isn't a person I want to continue building a connection with. You know what I mean? So knowledge is power. And you have to take that power, you have to take that knowledge, and you have to put it into active action. You have to take action on it and say, you know what? I'm not going to engage. I'm not going to allow that narcissist back in. I'm not going to continue this relationship with this new person I met, because red flags, at a certain point when you start healing, red flags become deal breakers, right? Because you're like, you reach a point, that's certainly where I'm at, is that I have worked too hard to rebuild my life, rebuild myself, to allow anything in my life that's not healthy. If it's not healthy, if I can't have a healthy connection, whether it's with a person, like a friend or an intimate partner, or what, if it's not healthy, I don't want it. Because I have worked far too hard to create a healthy life for myself, rebuild myself emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, you know what I mean? So if it's not healthy, I don't want it. And if it's not healthy, do you really want it either, right? Some people say, they'd rather be in a relationship than be alone. Really? Depending on that relationship could be making you physically sick. And I have that. If you want to go to my website, ChristineReganLake.com, I have a blog, and in some of those articles, I talk about how narcissistic and abusive relationships physically make you sick. The levels of cortisol that it builds in your body, which decimates your adrenals, lowers your immune system, and creates autoimmune diseases. So it's absolutely proven that if you are on the receiving end of a contemptuous partner who is talking down to you, that you will basically experience, your body will start to break down, and you will create a autoimmune disease in your body. So you are better off alone than to be in an unhealthy, toxic relationship that is physically and emotionally making you sick. So just something to think about. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I look forward to talking with you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.